Hello and welcome to the Messed Up to Setups podcast. Today I have comedian Brandon Latack with me, and you are not going to want to miss this one, so stay tuned.
It's all messed up, yeah, everything's messed up. We're going from this mess up to the next setup. Everything seems so messed up, but it's just our setup.
Hello and welcome to the Messed Up to Setups podcast. Again, I'm Michael Halcomb, and here with me today, comedian Brandon Latack. Brandon, how's it?
Good. How are you, Michael? How you doing?
Yeah, doing all right, man. Just had a nice Mexican dinner, so my stomach's feeling it a little bit, but I'm all right.
All right. What do you get?
My favorite Mexican dish, huevos rancheros. Yeah.
Ranch something?
Yeah, eggs. So it's like eggs, salsa, not ranch necessarily. I don't know. Maybe ranch. I don't know. But yeah, it's like on potatoes and rice and refried beans and some corn tortilla shells. Good. It's my favorite.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So good stuff. But I'm feeling very full right now. So huevos. It's kind of fun to say too. Huevos rancheros.
Yeah. I feel like Mexican food. It's a lot more fun to say than like hot dog. You know,
even just huevos is fun.
huevos. Yeah.
Huevos rancheros. I'm looking up what the rancheros means. I mean, it might just mean ranch. Like I don't know, poached eggs. What does rancheros meaning? Sorry, you got me curious now. I guess it just means a person who farms or works on the ranch, a rancher. So a rancher's breakfast, I guess, is kind of what it
Okay.
is.
That makes sense though. Eggs, potatoes,
Yeah,
tortillas.
rice, refried beans. Good stuff. Huevos rancheros. Should try it. Anyways, yeah, so Brandon, tell us a little bit. Where are you at?
I'm in the Twin Cities of Minnesota. So Cottage Grove, Minnesota.
Cottage Grove, Minnesota.
Yeah.
All right.
Kind of right near St. Paul.
If you guys are familiar with anything I do, you probably know the Pro Laugh podcast. Brandon and I do that together. So if he looks familiar, sounds familiar, that's where he's from. And it's good to have him on the Messed Up to Setups podcast. And Brandon, let's just jump into your comedy journey. How long you been at this?
Yeah, so I would say it was like about almost a year and a half ago, I started doing online comedy classes. And I wasn't even close to being ready to get on stage. I felt those are really helpful because honestly, I would still be learning how to write a joke if I didn't take those
Right.
classes. So yeah, those helped quite a bit. But even there, I would get stage fright.
So there's like a lot of debate among especially seasoned comedians who will argue that like you can't learn to be funny, which I totally like. I get that, but I totally disagree with. All right, so I don't think that's the issue. Maybe you can't learn to be funny. Maybe you are funny or you're not, or the context dictates that. But what I think that's not really the issue, right? I think the issue is comedy isn't being funny. It's saying things in a funny way or saying funny things.
Yeah, you're right. It's like it's half and half. But there's also a formula. So, there's a formula on the front end of a surprise, which makes you laugh. But the other side of that, your delivery has to be on point or what you say isn't very funny. So if you go up there and you feel, or this is what I've realized, if I'm up there and I'm nervous about a joke, you could just feel the crowd being nervous about a joke, that same joke,
Right.
So you're almost kind of the leader on the stage of where you're going to take them. So if you're going to say something kind of on the edge or something they're going to have to really think about, then you got to be confident with it.
Yeah. So in your opinion, then like the classes were helpful because a lot of people, again, will say, well, you can't teach this stuff. Either you got it or you don't.
I would say the classes are helpful up to a point. And then I don't think I was very funny after taking the classes, but it got me to a point where I could get on stage. And I think I was light years ahead of just starting out from getting on the stage. As an example, like usually what people want to do is this is what I wanted to do. I wanted to throw every single detail into a joke. But
Right.
with those online classes, what they teach a lot of times is rip out everything, like take out all the fat and just get to what the person needs to know for the joke, for the setup. And then on the other side of it, what do they need to know for the punchline, and make that as short as possible.
Right.
So yeah, I think that was extremely helpful, because whenever I write a joke, even now, that's my mindset going into it, as opposed to, yeah, let's try to throw everything at this.
So the online classes were helpful up to a point, to a degree. Like, sounds like they were most beneficial. Well, maybe in a twofold way. One, teaching you the general or basic structure of a joke.
Yep.
Then we know not every joke follows the same pattern. Maybe it
Yep.
does. Like, I mean, Greg Dean, I think, would argue that it does. And to a degree, I would agree with that as well. But those come in all like shapes and sizes, you know. And sometimes, like, you can be up on stage and you tell a joke, it hits, and then you a tag. Like, you don't even have to say anything. You just make a gesture,
Yeah.
and that could kill bigger than the joke.
Right. And technically that's a joke. That's a tag almost, that you're making them laugh. Yeah.
And in that, there's not really a setup punch like the traditional structure, but
yeah,
you're somehow recycling the setup and doing a wordless punch, I guess. I don't know.
But then that almost leans more on the second half of it, of stage presence and delivery, that part of it, you know?
Have you seen that clip from Kill Tony where the comedian goes up? You know, they have a minute, I think is what they have. He goes up and for his whole minute doesn't say a single word, but gets laughs for the entire minute.
Really? I didn't see that.
Yeah, it's kind of bizarre and breaks like all the rules, so to speak. But for a minute straight, this dude's just getting laughs by just standing there with the mic, like kind of looking around. Like, yeah, I don't know. You should find that. Like, it's
okay. So here's my question. A minute, I think you could get away with. Could you do a 15-minute featured set with that method?
I don't think so, dude. I think people would start booing. They would get up and walk out. Like, that's not working for 15 minutes, dude.
At what minute do you think the crowd starts to be like, all right, we get it? 2?
Yeah, maybe less, 90 seconds. I don't know, dude. A minute's a long time. Like, even just watching the clip, it's like, good grief.
Your palms are getting sweaty for him.
Yeah, it's a lot, dude. Like, so yeah, I think like in terms of just basic, general, generic, default joke structure, because I've done those classes as well.
Yeah.
I think you're right. They're helpful. And then you mentioned too that you even had like a little stage fright in those, right? So I think the other thing, right, is so in like Jerry Corley's class, like starting with week 2, you are on the mic at the second half of the class every week doing 3 minutes, then 4 minutes, then 6 minutes, then 7, I think it goes up to. So it's kind of interesting. You feel like that prepared you to get up on a real stage?
A little bit. I think just actually performing the jokes out loud, because you can write all day, but until you perform them, and even that is drastically different than being on stage. On stage, there's a certain tension in the room, or there's a certain energy in the room that tough to replicate, over video.
Right.
But yeah, I think overall it was helpful, and feedback from other comedians too, especially if you're new, you don't know all the methods or all the tricks. So them saying like, well, hey, you should probably put that punch as your last word as opposed to in the middle, so you're not stepping on your joke. Things like that. You just don't know until you do it, and someone goes like, hey, dude, you might want to change it that way.
Right. Yeah, I mean, we workshop jokes all the time. Like, we're always texting back and forth, and when we meet, we're workshopping jokes. And, sometimes we can tell, all right, that's going to be a killer, and then the other times it's more risky because you're like not so sure, right? And, I was doing these local jokes recently, and I had been working, like I'd run some by you, another friend in like Boston, some 5 or 6 people in North Carolina. Like for about 3 weeks, I was like workshopping these jokes, and I got on stage and did a couple of them, and they didn't work at all. Like even after all that time I sunk into them.
Yeah.
yeah, it didn't work, you know?
Isn't it tough too? Because sometimes like it feels like your babies a little bit. You put so much
Yeah.
time in them. You're like, oh, I
Yeah.
want these to do so well, but
Yep. Yeah, exactly. And like English class, whatever, you know, I teach composition. Talk often about like killing your darlings. That's kind of
mm,
the terminology. You know,
what
you
is
got to be
that?
willing. You got to be willing to kill your darlings.
As opposed to like a paragraph or just cutting out words or
So
what?
like, yeah, kill your darlings is you got to be willing as a writer to kill the things that you love,
Yeah.
right? Like the phrases, the words, the paragraphs, like all the extra details. You have to be willing, yeah, to do that. So
I
I just Googled like the origin of that quote, and I saw there's a movie called Kill Your Darlings. So I'm going to look into that. But
Casey
yeah.
Anthony.
The original
Uh,
quote, "Murder your darlings," is attributed to Sir Arthur Quiller Couch, a British writer and lecturer. He used the phrase in his 1916 book on the art of writing
okay.
in a lecture advising writers to ruthlessly cut anything that doesn't serve the overall piece.
Which is
Yeah.
almost like joke writing, isn't it? Like
Yeah,
to trim the
exactly.
fat.
100%. 100%.
Yeah.
Yep.
Even though
It's
you think
often
it's a funny tidbit, it's like if it doesn't serve the joke, get it out.
exactly. And that's the hardest thing as a writer, I think, of anything. Yeah, is to the willingness to kill your darling. So I remember I wrote a book for a publisher a few years ago. It published, and I'd been under contract with them for almost 5 years to get 3 years, I think, to get this book done. And I had like signed a contract, and I think it was like 120,000 words was what they wanted the length to be. And I get to the end of writing this 120,000 word book, and the editor emails me back, and he's like a new editor for the series. So the
Mhm.
editors had changed series in the middle of me writing my book. So I'm now emailing this new editor, and he writes me back and he says, "Oh, since I've come on board, the books are now 60,000 words." So I literally had to cut
Third.
the book in half, right, to get it published, to get it in print. And when you do that, you got to kill your darlings. And I actually think it made the book better, dude. Like
Oh,
it made
really?
it, yeah, it made it easier to read, more succinct. It got all the fluff out of there.
Mm.
Certainly, I lost some helpful information, information that would have been helpful to readers, but I think overall it made the book better. Yeah.
Does that type contract, does it usually come with a deadline too? Like we want it by this date?
Yeah, usually. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's just interesting. You got to be willing as a comedian to do that, dude. And that just, yeah, I think it takes practice, as you're saying, getting on stage and seeing what works. Sitting with others. I mean, the workshopping's good.
Yeah.
So, well, what?
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, no, go ahead. You go.
Oh, I have a Disney on Ice joke that I'm going to try like 2 or 3 more times. And then if it doesn't work, I'm going to put it on the shelf for a little bit.
Yeah, but like that's not a bad idea, right? Like,
Yeah.
because you never know when you'll circle back to that.
Right. You
Like,
never know.
you never know, and it's just good to have that on the shelf. What got you into comedy? Like, at what point did you think, I'm gonna try this. I'm gonna go for it.
Yeah. I think growing up, I honestly didn't like much attention on me growing up. So joking would actually, so somebody would be like, oh, you're good at this or bad at this or whatever. I realized if I made a joke, the attention was on the joke instead of me
Gotcha.
in some weird way, I guess. But then, yeah, let's see. I loved comedy growing up. And then it was honestly like 2 or 3 YouTube videos that I watched. And they were talking about how there's a method for comedy. I thought people just talked fun, like they spoke and they were funny.
Right.
But then the video showed there's a method. And then I looked more and more into it. And then I'm like, oh, this is really cool. So I got more and more into comedy. And then I'm like, I'll just take a class and see if I can even write a joke, see if like
Right.
I could even do it. Because I feel like I've got a 4th grade reading level. So I'm like, but you know what? Sometimes
you
the
look
4th,
like you've got a 4th grade. No, I'm just kidding.
but that actually kind of helps because I don't use very big words, but then all my stuff, people can usually understand the words.
You're
And
like,
if
I'm
you
a 4th
can't-
grade teacher. I'm a 4th grade teacher.
Yeah, exactly.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and you've been at it at least the joke writing stuff for a year and a half, but not necessarily performing
Yeah.
for a year and a half.
Performing, it's been 3 or 4 months. Yeah. Is crazy because the first time I went up, I felt like I was drinking through a fire hose a little bit. Like it
Right.
just feels like everything is coming at you pretty quick. And what I've realized over time is you add pieces, you remove pieces, and you have like core pieces of jokes. It's a heck of a lot easier to remember after a while because your core pieces, I mean, you just know them so
Right.
easy. So now you're
Right.
just kind of tweaking new jokes and things like that. Yeah. But
Yeah.
you can be more present too, in the
Right.
moment.
What is your wife's response been to you getting neck deep into comedy?
I'm always like doing weird, crazy stuff. So then this is just kind of par for the course. But I know I got a banger when I tell her the joke. And if she goes, oh my goodness, then I know like, okay, this is going to be a good one probably.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Similar, like I know if I tell a joke and it gets a good laugh from my wife, that it's probably gonna work, on stage. She's like my harshest critic, really. I mean, I'm probably my harshest critic, but she's close. Like,
So the parameter is like right
yeah,
there.
you know, I am my harshest critic, but she's like, yeah, like right here. Sometimes goes like up here, but yeah.
It's
And
brutal when I try to like tell my wife the joke and she's already rolling her eyes. I'm like, no, come on, stay with me. Stay with me.
yeah, our poor wives have to hear our jokes all the
Yeah.
time. But yeah, I mean, it is in some ways a good barometer. But I remember, dude, this is funny now to like look back on because
Uh-huh.
I've been performing for 16 months. And like even as far as like 6, 7 months back, like, I'd tell her a joke and she'd give me some like terrible review of the joke, right? And I'd be like, "You're such a dream killer," like he's like trying to ruin my comedy. You don't get it. You don't understand.
Yeah.
But
You don't know
like
comedy.
not realizing in the moment, like, no, that joke probably sucked. Yeah.
And it's
So, but
cool to have those people too. That'll be honest and they won't go,
right.
oh, that is a good joke,
Yeah. My kids are helpful on that too. They'll let me know if a joke is cringe or not, right?
Ah, okay. Yeah.
So I find that they're often a helpful barometer. But they're also teenagers. So a lot of the stuff that they would think is funny, like people in clubs necessarily wouldn't.
Oh,
So there's
sure.
a little bit of a disconnect there. They're like Christian kids, like, pretty much clean sense of humor. So I know some of what I tell them might not hit so well in a club as it does with them, but
Right. Right.
yeah, it's interesting. So, what if you could distill, like, all right, I'm going to ask you in terms of joke writing, what's
Yeah.
like maybe been your biggest takeaway so far? And then in terms of performing, what's been your biggest takeaway so far?
Yeah. So on the joke writing side of things, I would say I'm very good at like misdirection jokes. I want to have more tools in my arsenal where I can just pull from different types and styles of jokes. Like misdirections, I can write all day, no problem. But yeah, getting, I guess, I don't even know the word, but when there's like multiple options, you know what I mean?
So, like, what do you mean? Like using different techniques,
Yeah.
structures? What?
Okay, so here's an example. Like I would really like to get good at using like comparisons
Okay.
and those type of joke. Like, like I'm working on a joke now like that of kind of like my parents. I felt like growing up, I lived in North Korea.
Right.
Yeah, like they have no cell phone towers and my parents had Cricket Wireless, things like
Right.
that.
Okay. So, like similes, comparisons,
Yeah, yeah.
contrasts.
Those types of
Okay.
jokes. Yep. So
So
I just want to get broader.
so a main sort of takeaway is like give me a takeaway there. Like you realize that there are different structures and you need to broaden your horizons. Like how would you word that?
Okay. I'll give you a different takeaway, all in general, I guess.
Totally switching gears because your question's ridiculous.
No, it's a good question. I don't know how to answer it.
Well, no, I'm thinking like if you were talking to, all right, imagine a newbie, complete
Yeah.
noob,
Yeah.
is watching this and like you're a year and a half into joke writing, like
Uh-huh.
what's the one thing you would tell them
Oh,
that is like most valuable as
okay,
far as
yeah.
joke
Oh,
writing
that's
goes?
easy. This is super easy. When you're telling a story, start with the bare bones of the story, like you're building a foundation. So when you go through the story, only say something and don't even try to be funny when you
Yeah.
first write it. Just say the bare bones that somebody would have to know to understand the full story, and then put the funny in afterwards. If you
Yeah.
try to fit funny in the story while you're putting the story together, it's going to be so fat. It's going to go in so many different directions. It's so much easier to start simple and not funny and then add funny on top of it.
Yeah, I like that. That's good. I like the idea of like it's gonna be so fat and go in all kinds of directions. Makes me want to. My favorite Yo Mama joke is I have a couple, but one of my favorites is Yo Mama so fat when she sits around the house, she really sits around the house.
Yeah, that's a
You know,
good
I
one.
love that joke. It's a great joke. But I was just thinking like Yo joke's so fat when it sits around the house, or it sits around the house. Anyway, terrible joke there, but fat. It's fat. It goes in all kinds of directions. That's
I,
funny to me.
I haven't
What do you
heard
think?
a Yo Mama joke in a while, actually.
You haven't,
No,
dude? I
maybe my
tell
kids aren't
them
old enough.
I tell them in my classes all the time. That's probably gonna be my downfall, dude. Is Yo Mama jokes. I'm telling you, dude.
Well,
I just had a former student of mine because I wrote a blog post recently about Jesus and Yo Mama jokes, and
okay.
he commented on my Facebook where I shared the link about how I used to teach my Greek classes with Yo Mama jokes all the time. So I was thrilled that somebody actually remembered that. You know, that I did so many Yo Mama jokes. But it'll probably be the downfall of me is some stupid Yo Mama joke.
But that had to stick with kids though, because it's different than anything else, you know?
Yeah, I guess so. He remembered it, dude. Like, and then I love this one. It's like so stupid, but I absolutely love it. Yo mama's so fat, she did a backflip and kicked Jesus in the chest. Like, I don't like that
The
was
visual of that's fun.
it's hilarious, bro. So funny, dude. It just, yeah, Yo Mama's so fat. She jumped in the water and the water jumped out. That's another good one. I don't know, dude. I love these. I could keep going all day with Yo Mama jokes. But, all right. So, newbies watching and he wants to know about, or she wants to know about performing. What's the biggest takeaway like you've had, you know, in the last several months that you've been going on stage that biggest piece of advice you'd give?
Yeah. So when I started, I would remember my set word for word. And what I realized when I was doing that, I'm not allowed to, or I'm not able to be in the moment at all because I'm
Mm,
literally trying to think of, okay, what's the
right.
next word? And so I'm actually looking ahead while I'm saying what
Yep.
I'm saying in the present, where really what I do now, all right, I remember this. What are the important words for the setup? And then what's the punchline? And then it's nice because it's actually less to remember too. So if somebody smirks or says something crazy in the audience, you're actually able to play off that and do some
Right.
crowd work off it. And you just look so much more natural because you're actually talking rather than reciting it. It seems like you're reciting a play if you try to remember it word for word.
Right. Yeah, that's good. So the advice would be like, you know, like write the joke, but then be, you know, remember the key parts, but willing to be flexible. Be willing to be flexible with it as well.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
it's funny because the way you write the joke and then let's say you remember the key parts, sometimes you mess it up or you say it a little differently and that actually gets a better reaction. I almost get offended like, no, that wasn't the right one. I worked hard on these words, but yeah.
Right. Yeah, interesting. Well, dude, thanks for coming on and sharing. And you got a website. Let me pull that. What's your URL? Remind me.
Yeah, brandocomedy.com.
brandocomedy.com. I'll pull that up here and show all the people so they can go check out your website. So if you are watching, look on the screen right now and you should be able to see Brando Comedy. And he's got some upcoming performances on there as well. and some links for social and whatnot. And also make sure you should. Do you have a link to the Pro Laugh podcast on
Yeah,
here?
videos.
Cool.
I kept
So check out the Pro Laugh podcast that we're both doing. Yeah, there it is. You can find our YouTube channel on there, and we're just now starting that and trying to get it going, but fun stuff. So yeah. Any other stuff before we wrap up here, dude?
I don't think so. Thanks a lot for having me. I'm loving that background. Looks good. Last time, yesterday, we recorded together. Looked like a cop car.
Yeah, the green was red, so it literally looked like there was a police cruiser on site.
Yeah, that background looks good.
I appreciate that, dude. Thank you.
Yeah.
I had another comedian, see this, and they're like, "You got to send me a link for those lights." So,
Oh, nice.
yeah, it's kind of funny, but I like it. It's kind of got an inviting aura to it. I don't know, like
What's the top, those statues or sculptures up top?
Yeah,
I was wondering that.
It's see no evil, hear no evil. I don't know what's the other one. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Well, what is it? See no evil,
Say no evil, maybe.
speak no evil. Yeah, I think that's see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil. That's right. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So they're just statues imitating that, and then the one below it is the thinking man, but he's like sitting on the ground. It's kind of hollow. So.
That's I think that was one of the best Saturday Night Live, the Thinker and the Stinker. I don't know if you remember that by Will Ferrell.
Remember that.
Okay, yeah,
No.
it was good.
And then that bag right there, you can see that with the figure on it. That's from Billy Madison, and it's Adam Sandler saying, "You're not cool unless you pee your pants." So.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. But well, thanks for coming on, dude, and appreciate that. This is part 1, everyone, of a 2-part conversation, and in the second part, which if you subscribe to the YouTube, the iTunes, Spotify, all that, the website, you'll get an update when future episodes come out. In part 2, Brandon's going to bring a joke. We're going to workshop it, see if we can punch it up, and then we'll just do some jokes on the spot as well, which is one of my favorite things to do with all the comedians who come on the show. So you don't want to miss that. Go to michaelhalcomb.live and subscribe, and you'll get all those updates. It's a daily comedy blog as well, so fun stuff. All things comedy, about performing, write about performing, about comedy mind hacks, I call them, and just all kinds of tips for stand-up comedy. So subscribe to that, and that'd be great. So we're gonna wrap up there. Oh, go ahead, man.
I just want to say one thing. Actually, some of your materials have been helpful to me, just getting up on stage too. So I appreciate it. So anyone that in what I found, some of your stuff, when I get writer's block, you have a different way of looking at things than me, and I'll just kind of read some of your stuff, and it's helpful.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very cool. Well, dude, I appreciate that. And for those of you watching and listening, we appreciate it. Stay tuned for part 2. And we're going to stop there and say we hope that helps.
It's all messed up, yeah. Everything's messed up. We're going from this mess up to the next setup. Everything seems so messed up, but it's just